Penny's just on our way.
Right on.
How
Good to
you
see you,
doing,
man.
Todd?
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry about it took a little bit of
Oh,
jumping in back and forth. We are
all good.
actually yeah, we've been traveling for the last little bit, so it's been a little bit hectic.
Yeah, all good, man. All good. Yeah, I was just looking forward to like I think everybody in Vancouver, we're fans of your band. We love the success you guys have had. We're looking forward to the new record and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
here's
man,
Danny.
I'm pretty excited. Hey, right on. Cool.
Hey man,
Yeah, thanks,
how's it
guys.
going?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Doing really well.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Oh, thank you for hanging out with me. Yeah. Have you guys managed to evade the world's biggest dodgeball game? Have you got COVID? Have you managed to keep
We
it?
we so the tricky thing is, right? Actually, like a month ago, we
We got
both felt
COVID.
really sick. We
We got
went to the
COVID.
first show when it opened up in Vancouver and we felt like we got it.
Yeah.
But we took a test and it was negative, but they say those home tests you can't really trust a negative. So we just assumed that we got it.
Right.
What like did you get it?
Yeah,
Or
the family managed. We all managed to get it over Christmas break, and it hit my wife pretty hard. It didn't hit
Christmas?
me. I know, and it was because it's the time I get off work from BCIT as well, and like
Wow.
the shittiest time. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. Like for me personally, I'm kind of sick right now. I got a bit of a chest thing, bit of a face thing going on, and I feel more sick now than I did when I had COVID.
Shoot.
Oh dang.
That
So
Oh
sucks.
dang.
it's one of the, like, yeah, it didn't hit me very hard at all. But I am also vaxxed and I'm boosted, and
Right.
I'm ready to
Nice.
go.
Nice.
Did you guys have to cancel any shows because of COVID?
Yeah,
Two
we
years
like
of shows?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I
Two
guess
years
that,
ago?
yes. Stupid question.
Any
No, it's not stupid. It was for everybody. It was a curveball of how do you navigate this time in the world. It wasn't it wasn't easy for anybody in the
No.
music community, but for us, we did some online stuff. We did some what
it affected us like any other band. I think because it was long enough of a period.
yeah, it
At
was
first, when it happened, we were kind of like we lucked out because we are in writing a new album, working on the new album, which is coming out April 8th,
Soon.
Spirit.
Yep.
yeah.
And the thing is like, but then it dragged on a long time. And, when it comes to summertime, a lot of bands, when you're on cycle or off cycle, you play festivals and it's kind of like, it kind of carries you through. And so we feel fortunate that we're able to do music and we're able to make it through the pandemic. And now we're here. It seems like, good things ahead and our album's coming out. So we feel like we try not
We
to think about
weathered
what we
it.
lost, but we try to
Yeah,
think that we made it through.
we weathered it.
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
as normal as it could be, I suppose, right now for you guys.
right?
Kind of.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
totally.
And I've talked to a lot of bands over the last couple of years. Obviously, it's what I do. And there's a lot of people that were like, "Oh man, my creativity was stifled. I didn't feel like picking up a guitar. I didn't feel like writing anything. In fact,
Mm,
I didn't have a muse to do that."
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to ask that, but obviously the creativity with you guys with the Dear Rouge camp was
Mm-hmm.
there because, like you say, you were only a few days away from Spirit
Yeah.
being released.
Yeah, we
How was this different than recording like a past album?
oh that's a long question. How
how
long
was
do
it
you
different?
yeah.
It was dark and shitty.
Yeah,
But then, like I said to Thomas Darcy, I was like, I'm sad to leave because this is a bubble world where everything's okay in this world. Like we were walking from our Airbnb to the studio in Toronto, and it was easy. It was almost like point A, point B, that's your
You couldn't
world.
do anything else.
And for me, it was like that makes the most sense at this point in my life. And I'm able to almost take my experiences and put them into song and be in this like sort of Thomas Darcy's studio, Taurus Studios.
That's where we recorded it.
yeah,
It's like a museum of synths
Yeah, it's incredible.
and musicians coming through, and just it's a community. So we were there and we were just like, out of any place we should be at this moment in time, it's here. even though this point in history is very painful for a lot of people. So we were at that
So
state, and we recorded the album, and it was beautiful. So in a way, the this bubble world was like the best place to be in recording new music, because it was like we're okay with like being alone at this point in time. You know what I mean?
and long story short, we were able to dig in the corners, and we had more time to try to make the album that we wanted to make.
Nice hockey
Um,
reference, by the way. I like that.
yeah, yeah. Long story short, but then we all none of the musicians were touring. We had to make the record differently because of COVID. So we gotta like we have Justin Peroff from Broken Social Scene, Brendan Canning,
Mm,
Sheepdogs played horns on it, like a variety
wow.
of cast. We got like Drew Dreka, who played strings for Dua Lipa. They're all in Toronto because they're not touring. And musicians, when they set out to make a record, they want to make a different record, or they want to take a step. And we were basically forced to take a step. And it felt like the result essentially. I tell people, I'm like, I have to tread lightly in my enthusiasm because every artist has to think that their next record's the best. And
Well,
This
that's the
record
hope.
how do you say that
It's
without saying it?
amazing. This
But I
record's amazing.
but I
We
think
birthed it out of pain.
but everyone
What better
says that.
place to make a record is out of pain and tragedy.
Right. I mean, look at Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Yeah, I guess so. And so I think that's where
That's such a great reference. And
that's the proof
because
in the pudding.
they hated each other at the
Totally.
time, and you're like, that was the most heartfelt thing that they made, because they actually weren't thinking about what they were making. They were just communicating. And in the same way, the hardest point about this record for Spirit, for Dear Rouge, is that how much do we want to say? It's not like what was coming out of us. It's like how dark, how open do we want to be in this world that we're in at this point in time? And I even see about the cover of Spirit, it's tears and war paint. And when I say that to people, like Spirit Eyes, the cover, it was forest fires, pandemic, some of our personal losses in family, culminating into writing the record, the cover, taking the photo shoot, not knowing it was just through an iPhone. We took the photo, and it was out in the middle of the water, and it's like that's the culmination of all those things. You couldn't just make that happen. It's just through the time frame. It's just like a timestamp, and that's the record. And we're so excited to share it because it's coming through an honesty that you couldn't get other than through pain.
Essentially we feel like it's our most sincere record yet, and the label and our team and stuff, they all feel the same way. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Right. So you could almost say it's the reverse of creativity being stifled. It sounds like you almost had like too much of a well to draw from.
I agree.
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's entirely true.
We just need to package it in the right way, and we want to curate our like artists. We love writing songs. Like we can write a ton of songs, but we want to be able to deliver like a good batch of songs and what we feel confident in for our fans, especially on our third album.
Mm-hmm.
We're really hoping that this kind of solidifies Dear Rouge as a national Canadian act, that they're like, yeah, this band's not going anywhere. They're always around. And we
Yeah.
feel like, we have spent 10 years of writing together and starting our relationship to China to kind of get to this point.
I also feel, and for me, it's like maybe this is where we're a duo, is that I love that we're being as honest as we can be in this moment in time. It's like for us, it's like we're growing constantly, and our art is growing through us. And it's like the honesty and vulnerability aspect of who we are as people is the part that's most exciting. And that, I think, is what's coming out of this music and this time frame, is that we can't help but be more honest and more real because of the season of time we wrote this album in. So I think it's our most exciting. And Bowie said it best: when you're going the deep end, And I can't remember the total quote, but it's like deep end is the most exciting. It's when you feel like you're intimidating is when you're on the brink of something actually artistic. And for us, I think that's where we're at.
And there is the long story short in a 10-minute long question. Sorry, we kind of
Not at
hijacked
all. Not
here.
on. There's no time constraints here. Now, Drew, you were just saying, like, you've been writing for 10 years. Like, Dear Rouge has been around since 2012.
Right,
Does it
right.
feel for you guys like it's gone by kind of fast? Like,
Oh
is it a
yeah.
blink of an eye, 10 years, or is it like, holy crap, 10 years?
It doesn't, it feels like a long 10 years, but it feels like a short 10 years. So the answer is both. It feels like a warp where everything happened. It feels like a different lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And I guess for us, we're really, the team, our label, our agent, our bandmates, everybody is really, really excited about this record, which makes us excited because we don't really know how it's going to be received. But we feel personally that this truly is like kind of the record we wanted to make, like when we first started. We kind of like, we've earned a little bit of like notoriety. We can play some shows. We got some good announcements coming up. We feel like a band, and we feel like we have access to good musicians, like bands that I respect so much were able to play on our record. And I think that's where it feels like this weird warp to the past, but very present. It's like this record was like, it's almost like the first two records were essential for us to make the record that we're about to release.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's kind
looking
of
forward
weird.
to
You
it.
can hear me dancing and thinking around it because, I don't, we don't want to be overconfident, because we just make the music and we're tied to the art. We don't want to self-proclaim how people should feel,
Yeah.
but
No,
we're
fair.
hoping that people can sense that sincerity and excitement that we have.
Yeah. Well, maybe talk about, because right out of the gate, you guys won the Peak Performance Project, $102,700.
Yeah.
How did, like, talk about maybe the boost that it gave the band, and also what did you spend it on?
So for us, the bigger story there is that I wanted to quit music altogether. And the big
Really?
story around it is that I had a project before Dear Rouge called L. And it was from my hometown. I worked with this guy who was basically a sociopath, and I lost a bunch of money. My investors lost a bunch of money, and I wanted to quit entirely. I was one of those jaded people. And I met Drew, and he was like, "You can't stop. You love what you do.
Hmm.
Let's just make something for fun. Let's make something that makes you happy. And I see you being a vibrant person. Let's do something with that vibrancy, with that just genuine excitement for life." And he really encouraged me to not stop. And we weren't even a thing at this point. Like Drew and I weren't married or anything. We made the EP, and then we got married, and like around a year and a half, we took a big fat loan out of the bank, and we were newlyweds, so we had gotten married, took the loan out, paid off my prior like dream catching sort of opportunities, and said, like, let's just see what happens if we release the EP. So we released the EP and got into the contest. And I remember just being in my car crying, being like, this wasn't supposed to happen. Like I was supposed to stop pursuing this dream. And so we just put
Wow.
the EP out there. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And we ended up getting into the contest, and through a series of events that were like very god-like, where it was like a miracle like, we ended up getting into the contest and winning first place.
And we hadn't even played a show before we entered the
we
contest.
were
So
we were trying to
almost,
culminate
yeah.
enough
Wow.
stuff to like do a 20-minute set. Like it was the fake it till you make it
Can I
in the
pick up from you?
story. Sure.
Okay, so I always tell people when we won first place, we won money towards our music career, not just cold hard cash,
Of course.
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
is good because we probably would have set up a little bit differently,
well,
but
you
it
get
forced us.
scared.
It
You get
forced us.
scared.
So we paid our first record. We used that money to make our first record, Black to Gold. We used it to tour. We used it to promote 3 songs to radio. So we did 3 songs, 3 tours, and literally at the end of that money that we got from the peak, we broke I Heard a Had on Canadian radio, and then we signed a deal with Universal, and we became an actual band, and we became self-sustaining. We didn't have to go back to our jobs. It's a wild story, and we're trying to sum it up right now a little bit, but it could literally be like an hour and a half
Another one of those
The
documentary.
Cinderella
long
story.
answers.
Yeah. So if this album does really good, maybe we'll get to do like a Netflix special.
Yeah, you never
There's a good
know.
enemy in the story. There's a good bad guy in the story.
Loads of bad guys. They're all around.
But the other thing is that the biggest thing I tell people is most people, they opt out too early. And I think we often sell ourselves short too early, and we stop from dreaming and letting those things guide us, because we have to be mature, and we have to like sign into the like life thing of this is what happens now. And a lot of people have an artist in them that's like, don't stop trying, and they kind of shut that up a little bit because it's not real life or something.
Adulthood kind of shuts us down.
But
Yeah.
and from my experience, it's like when I was about to quit, I just needed a friend, Drew McTaggart, slash like man who like believed in me. But in general, that's like someone you love, like a mom, a dad, a brother, sister. That's like a friend. That's like,
Good friend,
you
yeah.
are good at what you do. Like, why make it something in the back burner?
And the biggest thing
At least make it something that you do constantly. I hate that a lot of people say, I used to be a guitar player, but now I have to like pay the bills. I'm like, but why can't you still play guitar?
you can play guitar without making money, and you can be in a band without making money, and that's like why you do it. And
You just don't know.
Danny, when we first met, she said, I want to quit music. And I'm like, well, then you didn't really love music. Are you just trying to get a job, or do you love music? Do you write music? Is it a part of your being? Because to do music as a job is an honor, like all the, like, Todd, like all the entertainment industry, it's so fleeting and so transient.
Can be.
And you,
Oh, sure.
and if you get the opportunity, you're just grateful that you get that opportunity to be in the industry. And that's kind of where we're at. And we like to think that, if all this went away, we would still be creating music because we love it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. What's the music in your each house as a kid growing up?
Oh, we had like,
It's great.
we both grew up in very conservative, like, Christian households. So to get into like the real good stuff, it took us a little bit of time. And
Teenagers.
maybe the fact that we're late bloomers helped us out with Dear Rouge, because when I grew up, and like every kid in Vancouver, it was Creed and Nickelback and that whole rock movement, which I'm not knocking. It was a time I was into it. I learned guitar. I knew how to play all the songs on guitar. We don't need to talk about what it was. It was the most popular at that point.
Yeah.
But then really the broken social scene movement with everyone out east, Canadian indie music really transformed me, because I just transferred from like actual rock into indie rock. And then I realized that some of the best bands were from Canada. And then I was like, I'm starting a band. This is what I'm doing.
Drew had a band called McLean before I ever came into the picture.
Okay.
And McLean, you can still look it up on Spotify. The songs are so beautiful.
It's
And
like pretty music,
Drew
like
is a
Death
great,
Cab for Cutie kind
he's
of
a
thing.
great singer.
Okay.
And that was like something that actually drew me to him, Drew. Drew me to Drew. Anyways.
Is that a joke? Or
No.
is that yeah, it's just
I'll
quite,
insert the rim shot later here.
yeah. Can you edit that out of it? Okay.
No, it's cute. Anyways, he's such a great songwriter.
Thank you.
And that project's still available. You can go check it out.
Okay.
My stuff at the time was not as awesome. I was still finding my niche, but also the people to work with, like where in Alberta there wasn't much of a music scene. I don't give myself enough credit to be like, I just didn't have anyone to help
You
me.
really stood out.
Like
You
I
really,
actually just did it all on my own. Like my own songwriting ability was like built in. I didn't have
and that's what
any.
when I met you, you were a singer songwriter and you were amazing. But then I also met your personality. I'm like, you should be like a festival singer. Like you should be doing like something where you can run around on a
Well,
huge
your
stage.
help was awesome. It was built in. It was definitely me, but I didn't have the influences in Red Deer, Alberta. Like Bo's Bar and Grill, the venue is amazing. That didn't exist ever growing up. The only thing I had was the Vat, which was like a like weird, honestly weird venue with like a cover band and like a open mic night with crazy. Like if you went, it was like not good. Some nights it was okay. That's all that I had to influence me. And I had conservative background, so like if I'm being really honest, like I didn't really have any insight, and it kind of makes me sad sometimes.
Wow.
Like I didn't have anyone to like guide me in my influences. And that's like, I haven't actually said that like in any interview. It's like, I'm kind of like, I grieve that sometimes. I'm like, why didn't I have anybody that was like, you got to listen to Led Zeppelin, you got to listen to the Beatles, you have to listen to like Janis Joplin,
Yeah.
you even like, I don't know, R&B, old R&B, like some of the stuff like I just found on my own. And the cool thing for me is that like I actually got to do music, and that says to me like the heart of a person is stronger sometimes than the learning of a person, like the spirit of somebody.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
for me, like even this record coming up, it's like called Spirit, because it's one of the main lyrics in it is take me back to why we started in the first place. The whole idea that like what you are is what define like your story, your passion for what you do is what defines what you make. It doesn't necessarily have to come from prestige, which I would say I come from like a simple background.
I love
And
that.
in that way, I'm like, I'm powerful because most people don't have a bunch of money and a bunch of like a loving family. Like I have good family, but we have drama like most
Yeah.
people.
Oh my God.
Like
Yeah.
it's if you
Most
actually
families have some drama.
talk to
Yeah.
God.
people who you think would have a like a core like an easy time, you're like, shit, that's heavy. And
Yeah.
most people that aren't saying it, they wish they could say it. So for me, it's like it's hard to sometimes own up to my history, but in that way, I'm like, maybe that's why people care in the first place. So this
Totally.
record is all about that, you
Yeah.
know?
And how cool to think that you guys are now influencing other people too.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I
it's
we hope
overwhelming.
anyone who's listening to this podcast and who's into music, we love being able to chat with people who want to do it because we feel like our story is a gift to us, and we want to encourage other people to do it and not do it in a frivolous way, not do it in a nonsensible way, but to do music because music is so powerful. And
Such a
and
communication
it, you
tool.
know, you can talk about the money in music separately, but just doing music or being a part of music is why you have to do it. That's why
Oh,
Mhm.
you have to do it in the first
could
place.
could you even just imagine a world without music? I'd fucking
Yeah.
die.
No.
Yeah.
Die.
Seriously.
We
And
just listened to you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is
it's
such
prophetic.
wisdom.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
So
I
amazing.
was
good.
like, I need to hear that so bad right now. And even as I say, it's like, I don't have to tell you the band. Everybody knows who said that. Everybody knows almost why he said that. And it's so powerful. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's beautiful.
First concerts?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I think the first real, I'm going to say first real concert.
That's a good.
First real concert was Our Lady Peace in Vancouver. I forget the
Like
venue.
by themselves, or was that the somersault they did?
It would have been. It would. No, it was in a venue. In a venue, I
Okay.
remember it was my
Yeah.
first real show where I was like such a fan. They were taking over when I was in high school. The weird thing is Rain Maida, their band is really into our band, and they asked us to go on the Somersault reunion tour. So they,
Nice.
which was we were the only like newer band, but it was Our Lady Peace live in Bush, and Rain was like, we got to have Dear Rouge, some female representation, and we got to play a handful of dates with them, and it was like it was really fun. Took me back to yeah, my first concert.
I would
Yeah.
say my first concert is like again real concert. Like I'd seen Lights, Our Lady Peace, these things that came through Alberta, like Reggie, Alberta, a small town. But my first real experience of feeling music was I went to Coachella in Palm Springs with a friend. I thought I could just buy tickets at the gate. And I like was like, you can't just like buy tickets at the door. They're like, there's no door. People buy like a year in
That's
advance. I was
gold.
like, okay. So I put my sandals on my wrists. I'm like, you guys go in. I will find a way. Put my sandals on my wrist. I bombed it through the security and snuck in, and I got to see the best acts in the world. It
She saw
was
Flea and Tom York, and
I saw Atoms for Peace. I saw Jay-Z. I saw like Sigur Rós. I saw Peach, Peach Pit. I was just like, what is
Peach Bit was
happening?
not a lot.
Yeah, they were.
Passion Bit.
Oh, Passion Bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I always get them mixed up. I saw uh who else did I see? I saw Beyonce was there.
many great
Many.
acts.
And then I
Anyways,
snuck in again
by hopping
by
the
hopping the
fence.
fence with this random dude. And it was amazing. And at the time, I had not experienced that. I still laugh to this day. Like that was probably like 15 years back. And I just like can't believe that was my first like real experience. It was
Oh,
amazing.
Danielle,
That's
you were a
just,
beauty.
thank you. Fear is not a thing. Just go for it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, don't encourage anyone listening. Don't try
Yeah,
that these days at Coachella.
don't.
Yeah.
You will get shot.
Guys, I said I was going to be like 15, 20. We're well past that now. So I do want to respect your time. I do have a few other questions I want to get to,
It's
though.
okay. Let's
Sure,
do
let's
it.
You got some time?
let's do
We're in.
rapid fire.
Cool. So I want to talk about playing the Grey Cup Festival. What was that? A couple, 2, 3 years back, I guess, right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Are you big sports fans? Are you big football fans?
Yeah, I find a lot of a lot of a lot of the Canadian music industry is in Toronto, and Toronto is such a big sports market, and so when we've been traveling out there to meet the label and the agents, we always go to baseball games, basketball games, and kind of just hang out. And so kind of also with music for me, it's like a big switch off because I just don't think about music as much. Whereas if I listen to the radio or listen to music or watching a show, I'm thinking about music a lot, and sports kind of allows me to escape a lot. So yeah, I'm a pretty big sports fan. Cool, I'm not huge into CFL, but it was great that we got to be a part of like the history, and so I respect that about Canadian culture. Her dad is a huge football fan, so
I grew up watching the Edmonton Eskimos. That was like our big Grey Cup festival.
Right.
Our like celebration around sports was around the CFL.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of love to that experience. I got to invite my mom and dad and my brothers.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And my dad like took the sign, took like a poster, and was like, that was his only time actually getting to go to it.
Yeah.
So that
was our biggest gig
really
in her household.
It's more about why it matters to your life at the end of the day, like if your parents care, if your siblings care, and that's what it was for me. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. What have you guys been binge watching lately?
Oh man. Okay, so
Ozarks,
we watched
Yeah, so
Ozark.
good. Hey,
We watched
Severance.
yeah, there's this new Apple show called Severance, about
heard of that.
they alter the
So
mind.
funny.
Basically, they don't clone a person, but they put a chip in their brain so that when they go to work, they can turn into another person, and then when they
Nice.
leave work, they can leave it at work. And so it's directed by Ben Stiller, and it's kind of obviously the people who are in there try to escape, and so it's kind of like a
This flag
fun
means
drama.
death.
Yeah.
This flag means death.
Our Flag Means Death,
Our flag means death.
which is hilarious. HBO. It's really good.
I
That's
like that
that's
question.
what we've been binge watching.
Severance, wouldn't that be nice to actually be able to do that? Just fucking
No,
No,
read it
watch the
at work.
show.
you have to watch the
No,
show.
no,
It's the worst.
So, it sounds pretty awesome. Just go to
no,
work,
no. One
leave your
episode in,
brain
you
there,
go.
come back home.
No,
You're like,
You
no.
gotta watch it.
no,
You're
no.
gonna feel differently after
Don't
you
listen
watch.
to Todd.
Do you guys get into the like the superhero movies, Wonder Woman, Deadpool?
I like Wonder
Oh,
Woman. I
yeah.
am done. I feel annoyed by Marvel.
Feels
I
like a cash grab.
I know I just yeah.
Like
I
it's just
feel
too
like
many shows coming out, you
I
think?
miss
Yeah,
Star Wars. I
it's
miss
not.
Lord of the Rings early days where like at least half or 60% was like actually made by human.
Right. As
I'm
opposed to
done with
CGI.
CGI. I feel like I just can't connect to like I know it's green screen.
It feels like a ride, and I don't want to spend 2 hours on a ride. If
Yeah.
it was five
I
minutes,
would
sure, I'll watch
prefer a
it.
storyline with a human being
Not.
saying like
We're not
my
into
life
it.
sucks or my life is amazing, whatever the dialogue is. I miss good story
But not
writing.
knocking anyone who's into it, because my brother's really like
Yeah.
into the
See,
chronological Marvel
I
universe,
think
and
we need to
it's
move
kind of cool
on.
to have like, you know,
Is it?
to have a system. There's just so many of them, so it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
I
It
like the
totally
new
is.
Batman. Did you see it?
No, I haven't, but I heard it's awesome.
It's sick, but you
Yeah.
have to watch it at the theater
Yeah.
Super
and
dark.
in a very dark room so you can see what's going on.
I watched the latest Spider-Man in theater.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know if you've ever been
Oh,
in a theater where on the sides it also shows part of the movie.
Oh,
oh,
snap! That's
what?
insane.
It's
No,
a
I
straight
haven't.
mind trip. It's just the
What?
craziest. Like as he's swinging through the streets and shit, you see sides of buildings
Yeah, it's
on your
amazing.
peripheral.
That's
We
cool.
got we got to do that.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Got that.
Where was the last place you guys vacationed?
We are on vacation right now.
Oh,
That's
no
why
way.
we are.
Can you tell?
Oh my god, I'm taking
We're
you
like-
on vacation.
Don't tell
We're on
him.
a bed.
Oh, that's the worst. You should have told me to take a hike. We could have done
No,
this.
no, no,
today.
no. We're at the end,
It's
and
fun.
and we've
It's
been
great.
working all along because we have the release coming up. So
Yeah.
it's not like a official like we put an email vacation. It's more just like we are in a hot place and we're doing a little bit of work. So
Nice.
we're happy to be here.
Nice. Nice.
Cool.
All right, I'll ask two more and I'll wrap it up here. I
Okay.
want you each to share a near-death story where you're like,
Okay.
"Holy crap, I could have died just now."
Okay, I was dating Danielle and I was longboarding in Alberta, and we didn't have a helmet, so wear your helmet. And I didn't wear a helmet because we were on a path in a park, and then her brother said, "Let's take that hill." And I was like, "Actually, I'm not that good," but then I was like, "I'm not going to say no. Worst case scenario, I'll just roll on the grass."
Right.
And the longboard got going too fast, shot out, and I like literally went headfirst in the pavement, and I was unconscious, and they flew me from Red Deer to Edmonton. I should have been paralyzed or dead, but all I lost was my smell. So, kind
You
of
have no
relating
sense
to
of smell,
I have no sense of smell. So,
like
Danny's
at
probably
all.
been farting during this whole interview.
Oh my gosh.
Letting out the brown
That's
ghosts.
true.
Okay, you go.
Oh
You go.
my. I'm so embarrassed.
Do you like how quick that story was? I did it in like
And you
Like
made
the
me
Cole's
feel
Notes
like
version. I'm
so
sure there was like a
small.
good
yeah,
5
but
minute
it's like
version
the
of it.
hard facts, and you know what the thing is like it was very extreme,
You
but
could have even just said my feet smell or something, but you went right to the most embarrassing
okay,
thing.
I take it back. Interviewers
It
will
wasn't the whole time. It was just here and there.
yeah, just a
Oh
little
my
little
God.
crop dusting. Okay, here you go.
All right. My near death was a music video actually for Dear Rouge's first like
Come on.
release called
Yeah.
Thinking
Really?
About You.
Yeah, it's a song that's not out there anymore. It's
And
on
no,
Degrassi.
it's not. It's still. I think you can listen. It's called Thinking About You. We were on the roof of a like probably I don't know
60.
20-story, 30-story. It wasn't that high. It's
Yeah, okay.
smaller.
High enough to
Um,
be dead.
Yeah. High enough you
hotel,
don't want to
Yeah,
fall off.
yeah, that's
and
pretty dark, but whatever.
I don't have a fear of heights. I literally was just like free form. There was no like uh any fencing, any structure around the top of the building. And
And we were performing.
the guy was like, you guys can go up, you can use the high like rooftop for your video. So we went up and I was just like selfieing
No.
and I got so
Oh my
close
God.
to the edge, just trying to get the perfect shot. This guy was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was literally like
One
right.
step away from going
Like
back.
I'm sure I would have caught myself because I'm very strong, but I don't know.
It was scary. It was
And
terrifying.
I was like, I think that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's my near death. I'm pretty on it with scary situations where I know where I am.
We've had
That one
this
I
question
did.
is actually an hour-long podcast. So if you want to talk about all our 9 lives, we've got
I
them.
know, right? Like, and that's the
Yeah,
reason I
for
almost got like
sure.
everybody I talk to, almost like 90% of the people I talk to.
Usually drowning,
I
right?
got
Like
some intense.
everybody has a story. Like
Yeah.
everybody has had a brush with it.
I got some intense ones for sure.
Yeah.
Sure
Yeah.
has more than one.
All right. Last question. Dear Rouge won the Juno for Breakthrough Group of the Year 2016. Where does that stack in like career highlights? Can you nail it down to one career highlight?
That would not be the one that I would choose for a career highlight, but it's the most tangible. So,
Yeah.
award shows, like up to that point, I felt like we were working so hard and we had so many experiences and we got so many opportunities. But when I tell people we won the Juno, it's a tangible thing that they can relate to and the most accessible thing, because sometimes I'm like, when we toured with this band, and it depends if people care about the band or not. But the
True.
Junos is truly like, we got more than winning, we got to perform on it, and they announced us as the winners of that Juno. So it was like, it kind of just sums it up. And so it's an easy way of saying that. That's what I would say is like, it's not what the award, winning the award, it was the representation of what the award meant. And we were breaking through, we were breaking as a band, and we became a Canadian band through that process. So
Yeah, I think it was amazing. Like I had a dream when I was a kid of doing music for a career, and in that moment I had a flashback of that, and I was probably like 10, and I had in that moment of performing, actually more than winning, performing, I felt like
yeah,
that was
yeah,
that. And it was really special to me, so I always be thankful to the Junos for that. Also, it's just like anything in life, it's hard to have people say you stamp you as being something, and it's not about that. Like people's view of you,
Mhm.
it's not the most important thing. But
Well,
when
it
you
shouldn't matter.
yeah.
yeah, when you have moments so where people like they recognize your hard work, it is special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easy for people to be like, I'm cooler than that, whatever. But it isn't that. It is like just like validation of that you did do what you dreamed you should do, and you did it in some capacity, which is
Mm-hmm.
important, and you take that throughout your life.
It's
And I
kind of
think
a
it's validating and
it's a kind of a nod though.
special.
It's kind of a nod though for people who hate on award shows. It's not about the people who didn't win, but the winners actually, it does mean something. And I
It's
think
both
just
though.
being
Nomination
being
is
being
just
nominated
is
is
important.
winning, but people get caught up in the competition of it. So like I said, award shows isn't what music is about. But rarely what we do is something tangible. I would say we got to play Skookum Stanley Park to 15,000 people, and that felt like we were playing a real show to our hometown.
That's cool.
First sold out show. You know, early stuff, the breaking stuff was the most important because we were like,
That's a
oh
good
my
point.
gosh. And we had a tour manager with us, and he said, Drew, you know, you're playing a sold out show in Toronto. And he's like, you guys will sell out tons of other shows. You'll play bigger shows than this. But right now, this feels the best because you've never had it before. And so that kind of was all a part of that Juno, you know, process. And the Juno was just that like little cherry on top. So yeah, it's kind of the breaking is all really exciting. And as we're talking to you, you know, it's cool to remind ourselves of all this because we get to release another album and we love this album. And I hope that people really enjoy it. And I hope that it moves the needle for Dear Rouge. But if it doesn't, we are satisfied with what we created.
April 8th, Spirit, new Dear Rouge. I'm going to let you guys get back to your vacation. Thank you for
Yeah.
taking the time out to hang with the Toddcast here in your hometown.
Toddcast! Thank you so much for even considering to chat with us.
Are you kidding me? I love you guys. I
Oh.
honestly
What you do
love you
is-
guys.
What you do
nice.
is so special, and we are honored to be part of the story that you're creating and all the effort to get it out into the world. You're really awesome. So thank you so much.
Come hang out with us at a show. We're
Absolutely.
playing Vance Joy Rogers Arena. We have an opening slot for an unnamed beautiful band in August that will come at the end of April.
Wow.
And then we have a headline show that's not announced. We'll be
It's
in
all
Vancouver in the
coming
fall.
down the chute.
Lots of good stuff ahead. So
I'll make it a Vancouver show, and
Yes,
we'll hang a little bit. And, I'd love to see you guys. Thanks again for doing this. Have a great night, and we'll see you online.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having us.